So now for the part that everyone has been waiting for, the how-to part. So you should now know what not to do for effective fat loss training, and you'll also understand that you need to be training specifically for your goals and not just exercising for the sake of exercising. So the first thing you need to understand about training for fat loss is that 80 to 90% of it is actually resistance training and not cardio. So cardio does has its place in small amounts, don't get me wrong, but most of your results will come from periodized progressive resistance training with constant overload and even deload phases. But with resistance training, there's actually a right way of doing it and also a wrong way of doing it. So basically what you need to do first of all is just create a full body resistance program that really concentrates on the main movements and also the main major muscle groups. And the exercises that you need to concentrate on to target these main muscle groups are the barbell squats, the deadlifts, the bench presses, barbell overhead presses, chin-ups, and even barbell rows. So they pretty much all cover the natural human movement patterns, and they also utilize your body's biggest muscle groups, okay? And that basically allows you to supercharge your fat loss, because what it does is it really increases and improves your metabolic rate or your metabolism, okay? So, you know, all of the little isolated exercises like the bicep curls, leg extensions, ab crunches and things like that, they're pretty much a waste of time for fat loss, okay? As they have really very minimal effect metabolically. So you need to really concentrate on the big bang for your buck compound multi-joint exercises, the ones as I listed above, as they are the superior exercises when it comes to burning fat. So the next thing you need to know is training duration and even frequency, okay? So, and it's probably a lot different to what you think as well. Now, resistance training for beginners and even intermediate lifters should only be done 3 times per week, 4 times per week max, and also only for about 45 minutes in each session. So it's probably a lot less than what you had expected, right? But you see, the thing is, the point that's often missed a lot is that, you know, fat loss is not about quantity of the training, okay? It's more about the quality of your training, more so than the quantity. So, you know, doing 2 hours as opposed to 1 is not better, okay? More is not always better when it comes to training for fat loss. Sometimes less is actually more, and more is actually less, okay? Because you're just not designed to be doing long workouts, okay? The only people who should be doing really long workouts are marathon runners and, you know, really high-level Olympic athletes and different things like that, especially endurance-based athletes. You know, they'll be needing to train for 2 to 3 hours per day. For you to lose fat, lose some weight, you certainly don't need to be training any more than an hour. But as I said, 45 minutes is pretty ideal for fat loss in general. Okay, so yeah, so by quality, I mean making sure every single session has a goal. Every session has a purpose and specific variables for you to reach in that session too. So it's not just going through the motions and exercising because you want to exercise, okay? So what you need to do is have a starting rep range, which for most people is usually best to start around 10 to 12 reps for fat loss. But more important than the actual reps is the progression and the periodization. So let me explain. So if you only ever do like a 40 kilo squat, for example, with 10 reps, and you constantly do that, like every time you go and train at the gym, you do 40 kilo squat with a 10 reps rep range, then you never really progress because your body will really quickly adapt to it and nothing will really change, okay? So the human body is actually designed to adapt to anything, really. So, you know, if you start off at 40 kilos by 10 reps, at the start, that's fine. That will get your body changing and moving. But when you keep doing that, it just over time, it has less and less effect because your body adapts to it and your body naturally finds a way of doing it easier every time and using less energy to do the actual exercise. So that's why it's so important to, you know, make sure that every session is aimed on improvement and beating your last session, okay? So, which is what we call progressive overload principle. Okay, so for example, if you do like 40 kilo squat today and you do the 10 reps, next session what you should do is do 42 kilos at 10 reps, okay? Or keep the weight at 40 kilos but do 11 reps, okay? And that's progression. Don't try and go 40 kilos at 10 reps to doing 40 kilos at 15 reps because you're doing something wrong if that happens. But, you know, add an extra rep and then that's progression, and that's also overload, okay? Which basically it'll keep your body guessing, okay? It stops your body from adapting to the stimulus, which is the weight you're lifting, and it really ensures constant progress with fat loss from week to week. So the technique of how you lift is also very, very important. So if you don't really know how to lift properly and confidently, I would suggest you get a reputable trainer and someone who knows, you know, knows what to do, because otherwise you really risk injury, okay, and wasting a lot of time. So for cardio, you really need to only train once to twice per week max, okay, but it needs to be high intensity interval training, okay, as opposed to just regular steady state cardio. So now doing hours and hours of cardio to burn fat is just not the answer here, much like resistance training. It's not about doing these really, really long workouts, okay? Doing that will actually only damage your metabolism and even make weight loss hard, especially for females. So while this approach may be ideal for fitness and marathons and all that sort of shit, it's not ideal for fat loss at all. Shorter, intense workouts with progression are actually much, much more better than, you know, long, boring workouts with no real goal or no real progression. But as I said in video 2 of the series, don't get fat loss training confused with fitness training. So many people do it and they're two completely different things, okay? So the fat is not actually lost during training. That's an important thing to remember. It's actually lost due to the increased metabolism, due to what we call the afterburn effect, which that's pretty much caused by varying the intensities of your cardio. And this is really why high intensity interval training trumps boring steady state cardio every time, and it always gets much, much better results than steady state cardio for fat loss, that is, okay? So that really covers training for effective fat loss for now. Now, I really want you to reply by commenting below and let me know what you are going to change with your fat loss training based on everything I've taught you over the last few days to make your training more effective. Okay, that's it for now. Have a great day.